Good morning, Susanne, Joy.
Morning, Deborah, LeeAnn.
Let's tune in, shall we?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so excited. This next 4 or 5 weeks, we will be playing with the pillar or the light being in the school of light that we know her as the ecstatic leader. And we're going to travel through her activation sequence of her gene key profile, which begins with gene key 46, which is ecstasy, delight, and seriousness as the shadow. So as we tune in, we're also playing with the pulse,
The
which
pulse
is,
of 40, which is moving from the acidic state or the highest state is divine will, from the gift of resolve and the shadow of exhaustion.
and I have
So,
to, yeah, you have to help me get that. I have like the cleaning solution resolve in my head. So I want to rewrite that because that is not what we're talking about here. Um,
but I like
so
how
let's
they're dancing together.
Oh my God, they're so beautiful together. And the oh, I don't have my journal in front of me. I sat outside this morning to watch the sun come up and listen to this. Well, it's not quiet, it's very insecty and bird calling. But before everybody starts moving in the neighborhood and the cars all start going, but it was so clear to me how much fun these two go together. So I was like, okay, so we have resolve and delight, and we have, divine will and ecstasy, and we have seriousness and exhaustion. I mean, look at how those hang out together. So let's play with um as we drop into ecstasy and into that gene key first, and then show how the pulses may be affecting it. How does that sound?
Okay.
I love how we don't have a plan ever. So
Well,
we were just talking about that.
yeah. So,
So I go ahead.
no.
I have ecstasy twice in my gene keys. And so over the weekend, Suzanne was sending me messages about, do you remember when you did this? Oh my God, you were so in your ecstasy. And I tend to only think of it as being a higher state that is positive, joyful, blissful. And really, ecstasy is I am allowing all of the cosmic creation flow to come through me, which is what creates the orgasmic feeling inside, to have just be so open that I can receive the flow. And I'll show you a mudra that we can play with at some point as well. So I that totally shifts thing. I was like, oh, I
Oh,
can be ecstatic while I'm, cleaning the toilet in the bathroom. I can be ecstatic in so many ways, right? And I think of it as I have to be in my highest creative flow. And yet it's the normal everyday life of finding that um, delight in just being alive.
yeah.
So,
As human design describes it, it's the gate of embodiment.
of course. So, um, which is what brings that divine, creative, cosmic, creative energy flowing through this physical vessel. It totally uh, allows us then to have that energy that floats out to the rest of the humanity, to the collective.
Yeah.
Um,
When I felt into
yeah.
this key, because I also have it somewhere in my chart, but as a unconscious thing, but it's really about being in love in the body and feeling not necessarily sexual, but very sensual beingness of this human experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why I think my new practice, instead of picking up my phone and starting to run through my day in the morning, is to go sit outside, feel the air, hot, cold, humid, whatever, um, listen to the sounds, notice the colors of the sky. You know what I mean? It is such a sensually enriching and nourishing experience for me before my head gets cluttered with, the notes of all the things to do and so forth. So play with me a little bit on, do you remember the um, reactive and the repressive state of this gene key?
Yes. The reactive nature of this key, the repressive nature is frigid. So
Okay.
imagine you just lose touch of all juiciness of life. You kind of staunch it off. You don't really like being in your body.
Right. Tune
Right.
out. Yeah.
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 Instead of tuning in, you're tuning out. And then the reactive nature is frivolous. They're reacting like everything's great, like as almost like a play, but really deep down inside, they're repressing anger. But they're like, I love my life. Look at me.
Yeah.
Yay. And it's like seething.
Right.
Yeah.
It's discordant.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where it plays with that, it dances with the exhaustion
Yeah.
of the pulse this week,
Right.
because that seriousness thing can just, it
It'll
eats
zap
at
you.
you either way, right? It eats at you either way. Um, so to play with the shadow moving into the gift of delight, I I am constantly asking myself these days, because I've really been trying to find out that if this is my radiance and my pearl, how do I tap into this more? Because then I can be this, right? And more in the world. It's my reason for being here. And I get stuck very often thinking, there's not a lot right here that I'm delighting in, so I have to kind of soften my gaze, right? And truly stop. I mean, pausing, I love, is a Richard Rudd term in terms of the art of contemplation. But there's something for me about stopping and doing my breath work and allowing myself to go, what in this moment do I delight in? And there's always something. If I can go underneath all of the noise.
Right. Yeah. And that's when we are able, as you just described, to loosen any attachments to outside systems or even the mental realm, and really it's kind of like I used to be like, oh, this blanket, God, this blanket feels so good. I mean, this seems really simple. It is simple, but it takes time to really
To
feel it,
actually
do
feel
it,
it.
and
Yeah.
do it, right? Or tasting and sipping something, or
Mm-hmm.
petting your cat, or enjoying laughing with your dog, or whatever it might be. That focus, that in just loving that experience, as opposed to like playing around up in your head all the time. You release all that, and it allows the freedom of your expression to be felt, right?
Yeah. And as you did that, it's so funny because I've been feeling really hot. And at that moment, I softened and I could feel the air from the fan on my skin. And I was like, oh, where were you 5 minutes ago? How did I not feel you? Well, hello. So, oops. And there goes my earbuds, which I'm trying out. So tell me, if you were to play with um, the beauty of when we drop into that ecstatic state, which whenever, Richard Rudd has interviewed, or he has done stories telling around different folks, saints and whatever, who have been ecstatics throughout the ages. And their lives are very normal. They don't like, fly to the moon or anything. But they're they go about it, but they have this radiance of pure acceptance, is what I want to say.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, so that's something to aspire to. Can I walk through life with more of an appreciation, a gratitude? All of those pieces is what feeds my delight. So then to find out what it is that feeds delight for you. Excuse me, I'm going to get mine.
So when I think of delight, and maybe this is oversimplifying, but think of when you were of the age between 0 and 7, and you were just curious because you hadn't tried anything before. You were putting things, when you watch little ones, they try stuff sweet and sour, and reactions, and you can see faces like, oh, like that that didn't taste
Yeah.
good, or ooh, I really like that. I kind of feel that innocence with this key, and this is that's what we can get back to and return to as we, from that age of 0 to 7 is when we're experimenting in being and feeling what it is to be in a body. And what if we carried that? What if we chose to remember and carry that same vivacious like desire to explore and be open and open to surprises and
And
newness,
awe. Yeah. The
right?
awe, the new. Yeah.
Yeah,
The and we have so much mental programming around, oh, well, we did that once. That
right.
didn't work, or that person, they're going to act this way. We don't know how any this is one of the things that I teach when it comes to being in embodied communication and dialogue, is that coming in with a fresh mind, you have no idea what the other person's going to do or say.
Nothing. Need I get?
And if you can just drop in and be here and be fully present to them, what does that open up for them? Because maybe they're coming in with preconceived ideas. And so that's the other thing about these gene keys, is that both of them have the ability to, by showing up present in either the delight, which is totally unusual in our culture,
Right.
or with the resolve, which I want to drop into when we get into the pulse,
Yeah.
of when we're fully embodied in that way, it allows the other person to relax, right? They don't have to
No.
put on their armor and be prepared for battle, or
No, they can just
so.
show up. Hey,
Right.
let's play.
So it's a healing. This is how I think it ties into leadership for me, is it's a way of one of the sayings we have with the leadership circle is that leaders bring the weather. It's true, right? They can bring into the room their aura, their energy, if it's positive and open, and let's discuss this. How do we want to move forward? Versus, we did this wrong. What are we going to do to fix it? What I
Right.
mean? That kind of leader is, uh, we need them when there's a fire or an emergency, but most of the time, the autocratic, my way or the highway thing is falling away, the critical.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I think the leadership is changing and being in a totally different realm where we are leading from our hearts, and we're seeing that play out.
Mm-hmm.
If we can maintain and be in our hearts while recognizing another person's gifts and not ever attacking a person, but coming up with solutions, like things that are going to resonate and be a win-win for everybody, not just
Right,
oneself.
right, right.
So
And leaders are learning to tap into the field to see what everybody else has that can feed into the collective to shift the direction of the organization. So there's a lot of intuition and awareness of energy that this particular type of leader comes forth. I have to tell you, I woke up Sunday morning. I almost wrote a whole blog about this, or did a recording, that the song Tina Turner, "What's Love Got to Do with It," was playing in my head. And it was like, what's love got to do with leadership? Oh my God,
Everything.
everything. So it was, yeah, it was a whole thing about how leading with love is kind of an open concept. We've always thought leading with strategy, leading with strengths, leading with, you know, well, what if leading with love was the answer? So anyway, I digress. So let's play in the pulse, shall
Okay.
we?
All right.
So this particular pulse that we're in this week of exhaustion to divine will, which has always been something I found confusing. We have free will, but there's divine will. And I was like, how do I dance in that? And this is such an important key, because this will totally shift fear in our collective when we step into this. And that's one of this as one of the sacred seals.
I
So
know. Can you
I
imagine
love it.
ecstatic with divine will? What? Oh my
I
gosh.
think it's amazing. And divine will is so amazing, that the whole thing of that surrender into completely surrendering into my life as it is right now, which I find is the same thing with being in ecstasy. If I'm in acceptance of what everything is in the moment, in the divine beauty and imperfection or whatever chaos, can I still find myself
Well,
in delight?
and this is a really big key, because resolve can only really take place inwardly. Okay, I just want to repeat that in a different way.
Say it again.
Resolve can really only take place inwardly. So, for instance, in human design, they call it restoration.
Mm.
And so everything has to happen inside of you. So it can be very, what some people perceive as aloneness, solitude, but we have to journey in there on our own and and be with ourselves. And so sometimes that's really hard, because we spend so much of our energy externally getting information, or going
Connecting. Yeah.
connecting and doing lots of things. But to really hear your own soul, we get to, in this time period, really explore what's going on. And part of this is also dealing with self-care and taking care, and like really understanding what is the thing that fulfills you or me. What is it that fuels me? What do I want to take my time, because there is only so much time that I have on this planet. What do I want my life to look like? What do I want to what's meaningful to my soul? What do I want to be a part of? And that's where the exhaustion comes from, because we try to do so much and fit it all in. We can just relax and really pinpoint the things that are the most important, and prune away the things that are.
That's where the resolve comes in. So
Yeah.
it really is a stain remover, like the the brand. Sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
doing that. So, but I want to talk about. So what he speaks to is excess. We have so much excess, and so whether that's a lot of things, whether that's a lot of food to eat, whether that's a lot of media to consume, we have a lot of choices. And how do we? That's what we're pruning away, where it takes resolve. And
Yeah.
I find it over and over again. I'll go to just pick up my phone. I'm like, whoa, what is it that I don't want to feel right now? Because that is a distraction to keep me from going and hearing or listening or dropping in. And I'm starting to get better at that. Why is it that I go in and I hit the TV remote going,
Right. What am I numbing? Or what
Yeah.
am I, am I, like, is this time for me to do this? Or am I running away from being with myself and hearing the
Yeah.
messages?
Where
Or,
maybe I could drop into my delight and ecstasy. So, yeah. So, I mean, I love that you talk about it being an inner journey because nobody can do this for us. And
no,
that's where the resolve is like, you know what? No, thank you. I'm going to keep my calendar clear this afternoon. I'm
right.
not going to join that meeting. I'm not going to go to that event. I'm not going to, unless it's something that we know is truly important and nourishing. So there's a
Yeah.
discernment, or that's where the resolve is to like, this is me.
Right. And Richard talks about it being in with exhaustion, that, this gene key deals with the fact that you and you alone are responsible for your health on all levels, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It's like we got to clean up, our own space and take care of ourselves.
Oh, and I
So,
love that. Everybody that goes, oh, yeah, but it runs in my family. Yeah, but I don't have a choice because I got that from so and so. And I'm like,
mm,
really? Uh, I think there's, you know,
let's take a
I
look at
think,
that.
yeah, let's, and where's the personal responsibility, right? I remember when that concept was first introduced to me in my 20s, and I was like, oh, I'm responsible for my words, my actions, my thoughts, versus just thinking I didn't have any control over them. So,
Well, and this,
anyway,
and with resolve, you speak with great power. It's
which
you.
is what allows the others who are with us to be able to step into theirs. So there's, this is a way of creating more people operating at this level. When we drop in and operate at this level, it like opens the space for others to go, I want to come in too.
Well, and I also think nature is so beautiful because that resolve is already within us. And I kind of can feel it bubbling. And I've experienced this many times in my life, but I can sense this right now where I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. But your life will always be propelled in the direction that it's designed to go. You can't get away from that.
You
That
can't make a wrong decision. You
no,
just can't.
no. But if you are trying new things, I think people are a lot of times fearful of failure. But as a dear friend of mine pointed out this past week, she said, fail is first attempt in learning. You know,
Yeah.
just it's okay.
It's like the child that goes, oh, I have we have a video of Kirsten trying a lemon, thinking that would be the most lovely thing to eat because it's bright yellow, and she takes a slice and puts it in her mouth, and she went,
Yeah.
it is the best video ever. But but now she knows you don't eat lemons, and or at least, maybe she does now in her
But
older
I
age.
want
But
I do want to point this out about the divine will. What it
please,
really truly is divine relaxation.
I
This is the
love
surrender
that.
into our own beingness without the feeling of having to do anything.
So
What's the mudra?
So divine will is a little bit more complicated. And it's hard to see because it takes place below the belly. So what you want to do is with your, let me make sure I do it right. Left palm, you cup it like you're holding and catching right below your belly. So it's all the way down below your belly. And your right hand, you take your two fingers, and the others are folded back with your thumb on them. And we've seen Buddha do this many, many times. And they're pointing down. So they go below the palm on your belly. So they might be, if you're sitting down, they might actually be on your lap or touching your knee, right? They're facing downward. And what this indicates is deep surrender to that which is right now. It's this beautiful combination for me of holding my personal power, but grounding it down.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. And it
Yeah.
opens, as soon as I do that, it softens my upper body so I can like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. So I love that. So I've been doing back and forth between that and the ecstasy Siddhic mudra, which is really beautiful. It's the taking your pinky and your thumb and having them touch and your other three fingers straight. And the pinky is very symbolic. I love this about the Buddhic body. And it means that my heart is open to all quadrants of creation. And that's what opens to ecstasy. So, all of that, like I was talking before, the cosmic creative energy is
Mm-hmm.
coming through. And if we just stop and breathe, and if you're standing, kind of like bend your knees a bit and allow that to flow through. And what happens is you'll start feeling the grace. And he said, the more we practice, we can almost get into like an orgasmic state. Mm. And both of those together just feel deliciously uh, weaving
It's a great
together.
mixture.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great
I've been
mixture.
there. This was divinely inspired. Thank you, Pulse, at the same time that we're doing this. So I would love to hear from people in terms of questions like, where does ecstasy and divine will play for you? Where can you open to resolve to find more delight in your life? I've been playing with the word cultivate lately,
Ooh,
and
yes.
to cultivate my garden of ecstasy, I I drop into a state of divine will. You know, there's something about how we can, they're all designed to play together, but these two just feel really magical. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's just today. I don't know, but I'm going to allow it to be. So,
Yeah.
thoughts?
Hmm. I don't have thoughts. I just have feelings of just
Mm.
relaxing and enjoying the ride.
Ooh, divine relaxation.
Yeah.
Well, isn't
And
that
it's
what your guide said when you were
mhm,
like, I don't know what I'm going to say about this? And they're like, just go with the
relax,
flow.
go with the
Yeah.
flow, and really feel like I think sometimes I personally I get overwhelmed by all the feelings that I have. And so, just letting it move through.
And you know what? They aren't going to kill us.
No.
That's it there. I've been noticing, like when I'm really, really hot, I've been forcing myself to go sit outside even when it's 100 degrees for
Mm-hmm.
just 5, 10, just to, I'm like, I'm alive. I need to
Yeah.
go and be alive and be uncomfortable. And it has been so fun because I'm like, these plants are out here trying to survive. You know, there's people that have to go to work. I saw the mail lady go by the other day and I was like, do you need some water? And she goes, I'm okay. But I could tell she was like conserving her energy, moving slowly. And I thought, that's what you do when it's hot like this. A lot
Yeah.
of cultures live in this all the time. How do I manage 5 to 10 minutes a day in it? So,
Yes.
mm,
Yes, let's cultivate more of this delicious, delightful, yummy relaxation.
Yes, please.
and surrender into the divine, because there's no place
Mm.
to be, nowhere to go,
Mm-hmm.
no rush. You will listen to your inner voice to know what to do and when to do it.
And that's the confusing thing, is how can I get out of my own personal will, egoic will, if you want to call it that, into divine will? So that's my question for today.
Hmm.
So,
So in the meantime, what you could do today is smile and be kind and see where it
oh,
takes you.
always. All right.
Always.
I'm in. I'll take you up on that challenge. All right. Until our next time with you, thank you for being here, Susanne.
Love
This was
you.
awesome. Love you.
Take
Take care.
care.